I'm just gonna say the quiet part out loud. Homeownership sucks.
Transparency post. I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not.
If you're not careful when buying a home, there's a chance you can end up like the people we see in today's video. Stuck with the house they hate, drowning in costs they never expected, and wishing they never signed those papers. The first clip proves that the cheapest house isn't always the best deal.
I bought a house at 22 years old and I regret it. So let me tell you why. So we thought that we were going to buy a house to begin our investment journey, but let me tell you something, investing is very expensive. And the town that I picked is not the town for me. I thought that because the house was cheap enough, I could maybe like stand living here for a little while and then move somewhere else. That moving somewhere else part never happened. Owning a house is so expensive and now it's difficult for me to go to the next place. I'm thinking about having a mortgage and having my brother like pay it and a rent because of how much I hate this town. And for context, I moved from South Florida to Port St. Lucie. If you know, you know, houses in Port St. Lucie here are so much more affordable, but it was not worth it. The lifestyle is just not for me. And I completely regret taking on this responsibility of owning a house. Beyond that, the amount that we spent on the renovation was way too much. Of course, with every construction, there's unexpected costs, but with this house, it was just so much. And the money that we were going to use to help on our next investment property ended up being swallowed up on this house. Much as you say that you're not going to be emotional about it because it's just an investment, it winds up happening. Like at the end of the day, this is the house you're going to live in. It's your first house. It's all a very emotional process. And so we ended up spending too much. And now I am stuck in a house that I don't want to be in a town that I absolutely hate, all because I thought that I couldn't start my investment journey by buying a house.
A lot of first-time home buyers think buying a cheaper home in a cheaper town is a smart investment move. But if you hate the location, the math doesn't matter. Living somewhere where you don't somewhat enjoy can turn even the best deal on paper into daily regret. She also ran into something that almost every homeowner experiences. Renovations cost way more than expected. Now, when you overspend on renovations, it eats the money that you plan to use to buy your actual investment property or do other things in your life. So you get stuck. And once you own a home, leaving isn't simple. You have a mortgage, closing costs, repairs, and you can't always just pick up and move the same way that you can when you're renting. And this is why your first home, and really any home, shouldn't be rushed. You need a game plan. So would you ever move to a cheaper city just to buy a home, or does lifestyle matter to you more? Let me know what you think. Speaking of regret, this next homeowner ended up getting rid of a home altogether.
This comment right here is what a lot of people in my other video are not understanding. People are saying you bought a house that you couldn't afford. That's the thing. We can afford the mortgage, the insurance, the property tax. Everything is included in our monthly mortgage. That is what got us. I might get a little bit emotional. My house is empty. This was our first home. I loved it so much. I don't think people are understanding that I didn't want to let go of this house. The fact that we were able to get a house at the age that we were is such an accomplishment, and my fiance has carried the weight of the world on his shoulders because of this house. And some of the comments in the last video are right. We did not do enough research. As I stated in the video, we were really young and dumb. We learned our lesson the hardest way that you can possibly imagine. Guys, we didn't have equity. We are losing so much money. Could we stay here? Sure. I am seeing issues now that it is empty. The money that we are losing was gonna go into this house regardless. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I rather would get us out of here, rent for a little bit, later on down the line. God has a plan for us, that for sure I know. That's another thing, is that if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in timelines, which I absolutely do, then you're not going to understand.
So this is a good reminder that affording the monthly mortgage payment doesn't mean you can afford home ownership. A lot of first-time home buyers don't understand that your monthly payment typically includes more than just the principal and interest. It also includes insurance and property taxes, which can change over time. She's also talking about something most first-time home buyers are not prepared for, and that's not having enough equity to sell your home without losing money and having to pay essentially to get rid of your home. And letting go of that first home is emotional. And the pressure she mentions, a lot of people actually go through that. The important lesson here is that research matters, not just the house, but the neighborhood, the cost, and overall the long-term plan. Also, renting for a season in your life is not a failure. Sometimes it's the smartest reset that you can make. So I'm wishing them the best. Do you believe too many people are buying homes that they can't afford? Let me know what you think. Now, if you thought those stories were rough, the next clip breaks down the top mistakes that buyers keep repeating.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but your dream home might be a trap and nobody's going to stop you from buying it. So to help stop that from happening, here are the 3 top regrets that I hear from first-time home buyers. Regret numero uno, waiving inspections just to win the home. This might sound like a good idea, especially in a hot market where there's tons of competition. Yeah, waiving your inspection might help you win the house. But yeah, congratulations, because you also might have inherited a leaky roof, black mold behind the walls, a termite infestation, so many other things that you would not know existed if you didn't get an inspection. Regret number 2, falling in love with the house before running the numbers. Yeah, that kitchen might have looked great. The backyard, perfect. The dining room, oh my God, imagine how many people we can have over for Thanksgiving. It sounded good, but now the mortgage costs way too much money. The HOA is kicking your ass, and you are 1 or 2 paychecks away from falling behind. The feeling of being house poor is something that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. Regret number 3, and this is a big one, budgeting for the mortgage and nothing else. Let's be real, the mortgage payment is just one part of homeownership. You still got taxes, insurance, maintenance, possible repairs, and an HOA that literally might fine you for breathing. So if you don't plan for the real cost, that house will own you, not the other way around. Homeownership is a beautiful thing, and I truly believe that everybody should experience it at some point in their life. But it's also very likely to be the biggest purchase of your life, so please treat it that way, because it is insane the amount of people that regret buying their first home, and I do not want you to be one of them.
Waiving inspections is one of the riskiest things you can do, and I don't recommend it. Even a great looking home can hide thousands of dollars in problems. Now, the second regret he talks about hits so many people: falling in love with the house before running the numbers. When the numbers don't work, the house becomes a burden instead of a blessing, and that's something that you should avoid. And being house poor makes everything feel harder because you're always one step behind. Now, the other regret he touched on was budgeting only for the mortgage. A common saying is that rent is the most you pay, whereas your mortgage is the minimum you'll pay, meaning that there's a lot more expenses that come with homeownership. The truth is, homeownership can be incredible, but only if you buy something that fits your real life budget. To make that easier, I created a free home affordability calculator. It gives you an estimate of the price range that could potentially fit your budget. And there's a short video to walk you through how to use it. If you're interested, the link to that is in the pinned comment. If you've bought a home before, did you have any regrets about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, here's what happens when you buy a home by yourself and the unexpected costs pile up.
Transparency post. I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not. Just find another apartment to move into, because doing all the that I have to do for this house and all the unexpected costs, high dollar unexpected costs that I keep running into, to be handling it by myself. So to all you young women who want to go out and buy a home, I encourage you to really, really think about it. Talk to some people and really see the ins and outs. I mean, it always sounds good. Oh yeah, your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reevaluate your property taxes, and it goes up $200. You know, it's trash. 85 degrees, your AC is going to go out. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's trash.
Her story highlights something many people don't think about. Buying a home alone means that you handle everything alone. There's no one to split repairs with, no one to share unexpected bills. Property taxes can increase after the county reassesses your home, meaning that your payment isn't fixed even though your mortgage rate is. Major home systems like your AC don't care if you're ready for the bill or not when it comes time to fix it. So I encourage you to talk to homeowners, professionals, and other people to get a realistic understanding of the true cost of homeownership, not just the mortgage. Do you think single people should be buying homes by themselves? I know it's a controversial question, but I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. The next clip breaks down the parts of homeownership that people don't talk about enough. But first, I need you to hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you got to follow this channel.
I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. Home ownership sucks. I'm Colin, your golden guide to maximizing points and mastering your money. There's so much stigma in society around renting. I think from just previous generations that had much more affordable homes in comparison to their salaries. It was able to be paid off much quicker, had a lot more extra money laying around for different things, kids, vacation, whatever. And now where prices have gone up, interest rates have gone up, your home should never be the nest egg that you're saving for retirement. That has to be done with investing. I'm sitting in my house right now. I don't regret buying it, but nobody really tells you about the extra costs that you're going to incur. I've lived in my house for 3 years. I've had multiple things pop up, foundation issues, a leaky shower right upstairs, this entire ceiling had to get replaced, had to pay for the plumber, the drywall, had to repaint it, which I tried to do myself to save money. Both my hose spigots broke, so I had to pay to get those. I've had electrical work done. And on top of that, just the amount of time that I spend doing yard work is criminally insane. I talk to want to just rush into home buying. There's nothing wrong with renting. If you're renting, you want to buy a house, building your investment portfolio should be first before actually buying a home. I don't want to say it's like the worst investment. There's so many other things out there that are worse.
He's saying something that a lot of people don't want to admit. Homeownership is incredible, but it's not easy and it's not cheap. Older generations honestly had a different reality. Cheaper homes relative to their income and at times lower interest rates. Today, buying a home takes strategy, savings, reserves, and expecting to do some repairs. Sometimes there could be foundation issues, plumbing leaks, electrical problems, etc. And these are normal, but nobody warns you about how often they can happen. And like I said before, renting isn't failure. It can be a smart move while you build up your investments and your plan for the next phase of your life. And don't buy a home that stretches you too thin. You have to give yourself room for surprises. That's why it's important to have a good realtor on your side. I'm a licensed realtor, and if you're looking to buy or sell in the next year, I can connect you to a realtor in your area. If you're interested in that, click the link in the pinned comment where you can find some more information. Now let's talk about some hidden costs that buyers rarely calculate.
A lot of people will probably say, well, home will appreciate in value. Let's say you bought a $350,000 home at a 5% interest rate. Over those 30 years, you're going to pay over $320K just in interest. By the way, most of that is in the beginning years, so you really have to stay longer to take any solid equity out of a home. Even if that same interest rate was 3%, you're going to pay over $180K just in interest. You could also make the argument that you could just pay off the home faster, not have to pay all that interest. It's great to have equity in the house, but having all that money trapped inside a house isn't a good strategy either. In order to actually take equity out of your home, you either have to sell it, which you're going to use to then probably buy a new home. The only way to actually take cash out of a home is to borrow against it. Then you have to pay interest on that money as well. Houses are extremely illiquid and hard to get money out of when you need it. Struggling right now, renting, thinking I just want to buy a home. That's such an important thing to me. I'm not saying never buy a home, but don't shame yourself if you're renting. Guess what? Your oven breaks, the hot water heater, whatever happens, it's not on you. You agreed to what you're paying for. If you do buy a house, try to buy a house that you can truly afford. You're not going to get everything that's on your wish list, but don't be house poor and give yourself an opportunity to have cash, because then you can invest that money and make more.
People rarely calculate how much interest they'll pay over 30 years. The reality is that you build equity slowly. Most of your early payments primarily go to interest, and later down the line, you can access the equity in your home by selling or borrowing against that equity. However, there are costs to doing either of those things. Renting while investing can sometimes be smarter than buying a home that drains all your cash. And like I always say, don't be house poor. Leave some room in your budget to invest outside of your home. Now, I always say to never skip an inspection, and the next clip shows why.
Okay, this is my third video on things I wish I knew before I bought my house as a single woman in Houston, Texas. So, another thing that I wish I knew is how to decide what to do after you get it, after you get your house inspected, right? Your inspector is going to send you a report of things going on with your house. Now, when I got my inspection report, there were a handful of things, like a lot of things on it. And so I was talking to my realtor and I was like, do I have them fix all these things before I close? Do I just pick certain things? Like, what do I do? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. And I was Googling, and Google's like, well, if you ask for too much, they might pull out. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember talking to my parents, but they haven't bought a house in 10 years. Okay. And my dad's like, oh, those are small things. Like, there's no use to worry about some of those things. So I had some major things done. Like, I had them cut trees. I had them move this broken water heater from my attic. I had them fix, there's mold in one of the bathrooms that the inspector found. He didn't find the mold in the other bathroom, but he found it in one because it was obvious. I had them fix the mold. But there's other things, like there's mold in both bathrooms. My AC unit hadn't been serviced in a bit.
This situation is extremely common. People get the inspection report and have absolutely no idea what to do next. Inspections always list a lot. The key is identifying major issues versus small cosmetic ones. In my opinion, you should ask for as much as possible, even if the sellers don't agree to fix everything. You might as well try. Unfortunately, her realtor wasn't experienced enough, and that left her overwhelmed. The roof, mold, and the water heater, I think she did a solid job of handling some of the major items correctly and getting those things done. However, this is why hiring someone who is experienced matters. Now, the last clip might change how you think about homeownership altogether.
I sit for this one because I fear I need to admit something quite embarrassing. My husband and I live in our home with 2 children and our dog. It's 1,200 square feet. We purchased this home back in 2018. The intent never was to stay here this long, but then everything happened with the housing market. 2020, we refinanced in 2020, got a 2.9 interest rate. And so now we are in the golden handcuff era. We both expected that we would be living in our forever home by now. Sometimes I feel like we have a pity party for ourselves, that we're not in our forever home, that we're not able to move. And I had to check myself and go touch some grass, because there is no way that I'm going to sit there and have a pity party for myself when I should be thankful I have a roof over my head, food to feed my children. We have a beautiful 1,200 square foot home. The sewer system kind of sucks, but topic for another day. So instead of wanting something bigger and just can't wait to get out of here, we're going to make the most out of the home that we have now. My goal as a parent is to make sure that my children realize how lucky and blessed we are, and that materialistic things don't matter. Unfortunately, I don't really feel like I was living by those rules. Now I'm committed to changing that. Because if we live in this home for the rest of our lives, I will be thankful. If you're like us and you are stuck in a smaller home and you need more space and you need more functionality, I hope you follow along. As 2 adults and 2 children and a dog, we are committed to turning this 1,200 square foot home into a home that makes sense for us.
This is the reality for a lot of owners. They refinanced into a low rate and now they feel stuck. And this is the golden handcuffs that people talk about. Your rate is so low that moving feels impossible and sometimes even irresponsible. And like many other homeowners, they expected to upgrade, but the market changed. What I like is their gratitude though. Instead of being upset about what they may feel like they lack, they're maximizing the space that they have right now. And many families today are simply learning how to make smaller homes work. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for that. At the end of the day, homeownership is all about timing, preparation, and buying something that actually fits your lifestyle. Every single person in these clips had good intentions. They wanted stability. They wanted to build wealth. They wanted their first place to feel like a win. But the truth is, the process can be challenging. And if you're not prepared for the full picture, repairs, taxes, insurance, and the market, and your own lifestyle needs, a home can quickly become a burden. And my goal here isn't to scare you out of buying. I want you to buy the right home at the right time with the right expectations. So if you're thinking about buying soon, check out my free home affordability calculator in the pinned comment. It gives you a potential price range based on your real budget and not just what a lender may say you qualify for. And if you need an agent anywhere in the country, I can connect you to somebody who knows their market and actually communicates. The link to that is also in the pinned comment. Homeownership can be an amazing tool, but only if you go into it educated. So take your time, do your research, and avoid being the next regret story online. Now that you know about homebuyer regrets, I want you to learn about how to avoid problems with new construction homes. Check out this video right here.